Okay, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Katie Liebman, and I'm on the Charlotte Water Communications team. You're here today for the South End Water Main project. We have our project manager, Will Rice, here, and he's going to take the meeting from here and walk us through his presentation today.
Thank you, Katie. So as she mentioned, this is the monthly project meeting for the SWIM project, the South End Water Main project. Today is January 21st, and it should be roughly 12:30. This meeting will be recorded and posted online as well. So if you want to watch it later, you can. Real quickly, I guess Katie already talked about this. I want to point out, here's our website. So all the information that we talked about today will be on this website. And then this is going to get mentioned a few times, but if you want to get more information and have the most up-to-date information, you can text South End Water to this number right here, 31996. So text South End Water to 31996, and you'll just get fairly infrequent updates about what's going on, like whenever we're moving zones or whenever meetings are happening, or if there's any other issues that are ongoing that may be of concern. So text South End Water to 31996. Here's just a quick overview of what we're going to talk about today. We'll spend a little bit of time talking about the next few months. We've got a slide to talk about potential traffic detours and ways to get around the construction site if you don't want to drive through it. And then I'm going to spend a lot of time talking about some pictures that we've taken, just trying to lay out the whole process of how we're building this water line. And then lastly, we'll have some time for Q&A. Of course, you can always email questions to the email address that we're going to talk about later, and or it's available to the project website. And then I'll list those contacts again that we just talked about. So currently, if you've driven through our work zone lately, you know that we're just north of Witten, kind of down here off the map. And we have barrier wall that closes one lane of South Boulevard northbound all the way up to just past this split here. So right now we're sort of working through the final steps to have this water line installed. And we've had some hiccups that we're working through, but all going according to plan. We should be done and have fully paved over and restored the road all the way up past the juncture here in the next few weeks. We will then reopen this intersection at Clanton. I know some of you may be aware that that's closed right now. You can only turn right off of Clanton, and you can't turn left onto Clanton. So that will be reopened in the next few weeks as well. And then, of course, we will move our barrier wall north to get up a little bit closer to the Greystone area of South Boulevard. In addition to that, we have to do our final tie-in. There's a very large 30-inch water main that runs essentially from the corner of Park and Tyvola Road. Park and Woodlawn, and it runs up Woodlawn and then turns down Scaly Bark Road, comes up Scaly Bark to get to South Boulevard. And that is the large transmission main that we're going to be connecting our 24-inch line into. So we're putting in a 2-inch diameter line, and we're going to be connecting to almost a 3-foot diameter line there at Scaly Bark. So we're going to make that connection and make that tie-in. And at that point, we'll be able to activate this new line. And then we'll start moving over the services to that new line, and we'll have flow in this new line. So that's that step should be happening sometime in the near future as well. So if you're going northbound on South Boulevard and you don't want to come through our construction site, we're going to have essentially the middle 2 lanes of South Boulevard closed, so it'll be down to 1 lane. So if you want to avoid all of that and avoid the traffic that may cause, but you're wanting to access sort of the west side of South Boulevard, sort of the local area, the best option will be to turn left on Clanton and to get over to South Tryon, and then you can go north on South Tryon and then come back down Remount to sort of access that sort of left side or the west side of South Boulevard. If you want to access the east side, you can turn on Hollis or Hartford before, here's Hollis and here's Hartford, before you actually get into the new work zone to give you access to those neighborhoods. Greystone will still be open, so as well you can use Greystone. And then, of course, if you're coming from the not too far away or even way farther south and you're trying to get to Uptown, then the best option is either to get on Clanton, get over to 77, or to take Woodlawn over to 77 and use that as a way to get into Uptown. Those are going to be your best alternatives once we have moved our barrier wall a little bit further north and Clanton is fully open again. So one of the things that I really enjoy doing is teaching and talking to people about, how this product gets built. So I'm going to go ahead and run through. I think I have 6 or 7 pictures here that are going to outline a lot of what the construction looks like and what we're doing out there. You can look back at some of our previous videos as well. It talks a little bit more about what's going on to give you some more insight. And I'll probably continue talking about this because I'm always trying to experiment and figure out what the best way to explain this to people is. So the first thing we do, of course, is remove some of the asphalt. We've talked about it in the past, but we call it milling. We remove some of the asphalt, and then at that point, we have to dig this trench. You can see, if you look closely here, that there's a trench that we're going to put a pipe in, and it's slightly narrower than the excavator, so the excavator doesn't fall in. And we dig dirt out, and we sort of look at that dirt and see, is that dirt going to be good to put back in later, or do we have to put in some better new dirt? And this dirt and this road is super old. So in most of the situations so far, it's what we call unsuitable. And that it really just means that it's not sort of up to the standard and specification that we would like to put back in to protect that pipe and to protect the asphalt, so that we will have a nice long living pipe and road for the distant future. So we call it unsuitable, and we've been trucking it off. So a lot of the dump truck traffic you may have seen in and out of our work zone is either dump trucks removing old dirt that's not quite up to our specification, or it's bringing in what we call, of course, suitable material, which is a much better material to go ahead and compact and put down over top of that pipe, so that road will last a good long time. So here's just a picture of an excavator digging dirt to take off somewhere else. Then once we get down, we start to get into areas where we don't really want to dig with a big excavator because we might damage things that are currently under the ground. You can actually see over here on the far right of this picture, you can see the teeth marks from the excavator. You see they got kind of close to this pipe here, and we don't want to dig too close to that pipe because we might break it. Excavators aren't real delicate, right? So when we get to the more delicate operations, we do things what we call soft digs. We've mentioned this before. And so with a soft dig, you got one guy, typically he's holding this wand here, and it's got an air hose as well, and he can poke and prod there in the dirt and break up this dirt into smaller clumps. And then you have another person over here and it's holding onto this big pipe, and this is a suction tube. So they can gently remove material by breaking it up with this air wand, and then vacuum extracting it with this big huge pipe here, and it allows you to sort of dig around these things without damaging them. So yeah, as we start to dig down before the pipe's in, we figure out where existing things are, and we soft dig around them so that we don't break them. And then once we get our excavation fully done, we can go ahead and put in our new pipe. So this is a picture of what the new pipe looks like. And then here on the walls, those are called trench boxes. So working underground down in a deep trench can be hazardous, if the dirt walls cave in on you. So safety is a big priority for us. So we have trench boxes. They're big, huge boxes that allow workers to safely be down in that trench, tightening these nuts and bolts to make these joints and bring these pipes together, and then installing these other little small valves. This is a small service valve with a service line coming off the side there that's installed. And then this is our big 24-inch line. This is the new line itself. So you can sort of see what it looks like looking down. This is probably maybe a 15-foot deep excavation, something like that. And then, of course, we continue to backfill dirt, and we bring the ground up to the level here. These are actually called valve boxes. So just to drop back a little bit. So here's a picture of an old valve box, right? And it's got a PVC pipe that goes down. And that's what we're going to put over top of this valve here. This is actually an actuator. So as you turn this, the valve will turn. And so we put a big long piece of metal on top of there. It comes all the way up to the surface. And so we can open this lid up here, and we can open and close those valves from the surface, even though the valves are way down at the bottom right there. This is what it looks like. One of the final sort of steps. We've we backfilled all this material in here. We have our valve boxes all ready to go, so they can go ahead and actuate those valves and turn the water on or off depending on what's necessary for operations purposes. Uh, while still having essentially a roadway that's going to be paved over top of this, right? And then compaction is key. So we're going to go ahead and you can see a big roller here. We're going to go ahead and drive over that. And there's hand tools, there's vibration compactors that we use to make sure that this nice new dirt material that we brought in that's a little bit stronger than the old material we took out, make sure that there's not any air pockets, and we tamp that down as hard as we can, make this surface super hard. And then we have this guy come in and he does compaction testing. So he's going to go ahead and use this little special instrument here to determine how much airspace there is between all those particles of dirt. And then we're going to get rid of all that airspace as much as possible so that we have a nice, strong, compact surface both over top of our water line to protect the water line from car traffic and also to protect the roadway that we're eventually going to put on over top of this as well. And so then once the compact test is all done, we'll go ahead and pave a little bit over top of it. These are the concrete forms. So you can see it looks just like the curb, right? So we're going to go ahead and continue that curb on down the road there. And then once the curb is done, it'll be sticking up a little bit. We'll go ahead and pave the final little bit to match all of that. So we're going to go ahead and back up and run through all that real fast one more time. So initial preliminary steps are to remove the dirt that's not good enough for our purposes. Softly remove the dirt around existing utilities so that we don't break anything that's already in the ground. Go ahead and install the new line here, big new line, install the new valves and new services. A little bit of this is some jumper wire just to make sure this is all connected conductively for our corrosion control. And then we add these valve boxes here and we continue to fill up around them as well. And then we compact test, and then we come back finally with some pavement, some asphalt, and some curb and gutter. And that's basically sort of a real quick and dirty version of how we install this big, huge water line in the middle of a roadway. And that's basically all I have to talk about today. So are there any questions? And I don't see any in the chat box. Katie, did you have any come through to you by any chance?
No questions on my end. I don't know if you want to wait just a minute or so in case anyone wanted to drop any questions in that question and answer box on the right-hand side of the screen. But otherwise, like you've mentioned before, we're available in multiple ways for any questions at any time.
Okay. Yeah, I'll wait a few seconds here. Okay, so someone asked, what's the schedule heading north, essentially? So big picture, the entire project is expected to finish up by early spring of 2022. And right now, we're just going to keep moving the zones northward a little bit at a time as we activate and complete this line. Our next phase, and Keith, you can chime in and correct me if I get this wrong, but our next phase is up there closer to Greystone. That's phase 4. And then we're going to go ahead and be moving north of there into phase 5, which will put us up closer to like Poindexter remount area. And then like super late this year, we'll be up there closer to like Mr. K's, Atherton Mill area. And then we'll be finishing up early next year. That's sort of the general timeline. There is a little bit of unknown uncertainties, and obviously as we get closer to the more densely populated parts of South Boulevard, we encounter more unknowns. So every time a cable provider wants to put a new cable line under the ground, they come out and put it in, and we may or may not have to just discover that through soft digs, and that can slow us down. And then traffic is obviously a big concern as well. And then lately we've been fighting a lot of weather. We haven't had rain probably in the past few weeks, which has been really nice. But for the most part, we had a lot of rain in November, December, and on rainy days, we typically don't work because the trenches fill with water, and there's always a concern of a car coming off the road into our work site. So, but the best way to sort of keep up with the schedule, which is a good segue, is to sign up for these text updates. And we always send out text updates whenever we're moving into a new phase. And then of course, if you're a business and you want to get on like our business list to be notified more about what's happening in and around your business location, then you can email this info and get added to our business list for updates. And
Will?
visit the product website also. Yep.
It looks like we did have 2 other questions that were provided in the chat. Can I read them to you? Are you able to see those?
I cannot see them. So yeah, sure. If you want.
Okay, great. So someone is asking, how long before you are in front of the subway?
The subway. Is that the subway next to the Chick-fil-A, I believe?
If you want to.
The subway just after Greystone is that the question?
Oh yeah.
Is that what we're looking at?
Potentially, if you're able to give us more detail, we could. Subways in the Greystone pub lot.
Okay, so the next phase of the project, which will take place next week, we are moving the barricade just past Greystone Road.
But not all the way up to Marsh Newbern just yet.
Right. Not up to Marsh Newbern yet.
Great. And then there was one other comment, which you may have kind of addressed through this, but they're asking, when do you anticipate getting to the Greystone phase? You'll be opening up the current phase when you start that one, right?
Correct. So when we finish up this current phase, we'll have Clanton open up, and the barrier wall will move up. The northern end of that barrier wall will be up there near Greystone, correct? And the southern end will be north of Clanton.
And then it looks like people may be interested in a little bit about if you could talk about how long each phase will take. I know it's probably a lot of variables like you mentioned, if you had any insight on that.
Yeah, there's a lot of variables, but and Keith can chime in. I think we're looking at like 6 to 8 weeks per phase. Is that right? And then there's some overlaps on the ends of the phases. But each phase is a little bit different. It's tricky. We're encountering problems as we move north.
I can answer that if Keith is unavailable.
Yeah, go ahead, Rob.
Yeah, so I mean, typically, you're right. 6 to 8, 2 months plus or minus is the perfect answer per phase. And again, there's always unknowns, but for the purposes of planning, 2 months per phase is about the best estimate.
Okay. Thanks, Rob. Okay, so yeah, to reiterate, if you could visit the project website and or sign up for text messages, that's the best way to really keep tabs on what's going on. And then this email address is also a great way to reach out. And then I'm going to go ahead and we'll probably reach out to the subway. If you want to put your contact information in the chat or send it to Katie, that'd be great. We can reach out and discuss more with you. And otherwise, here's another screen with information about communications. My name is Will. Here's my phone number. So if you don't get any traction anywhere else, feel free to call me or send me a text message. That's my email address. And then also Keith had chimed in. He's sort of our boots on the ground inspector. His contact information is right there. So, and thank you all for y'all's day. Thank you for your time. Have a good day.